Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins where everyday pocket change can sometimes hide treasures worth unimaginable sums. And today we're going to unravel the incredible story of a 2005 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and investors alike by fetching an astounding $60 million at auction. A mind-blowing figure for something most people wouldn't think twice about spending or tossing in a change jar, yet. This seemingly ordinary Lincoln cent holds secrets in its metal, its strike, and its history that have propelled it into numismatic legend, and as we peel back the layers of its story you'll see why era coins like this can captivate the market and command astronomical values, starting with the fact that 2005 was an interesting year for US coinage in general because while the Lincoln Memorial design was still in place, the mint was transitioning in technology and facing certain production challenges that left the door open for striking errors, planchette problems, and die anomalies, each of which could transform a common coin into a one-of-a-kind rarity, and in the case of this particular 2005 cent, experts believe it is the perfect storm of multiple minting mishaps combined with pristine preservation that gave it such staggering value, with initial examination revealing that the coin was struck on a transitional planchette, an error where the blank piece of metal intended for another year or denomination somehow gets fed into the press, and in this instance metallurgical analysis showed a composition not entirely matching the standard copper-plated zinc used in 2005 but rather containing trace elements consistent with older pre-year 1982 bronze cents, suggesting either leftover stock or an accidental misfeed from an experimental run, and this alone would make it valuable. But the plot thickens because under magnification, specialists identified a dramatic double die obverse, where the design elements on the front, Lincoln's profile, the date, and the motto "In God We Trust," are all duplicated in a ghost-like shadow, a hallmark of die misalignment during hubbing that can create highly collectible varieties, yet on this coin the doubling is unusually bold and clear, particularly in the date, making it an instant standout among known 2005 varieties, and to further elevate its rarity, the reverse side displays a misaligned strike, where the Lincoln Memorial design is shifted noticeably off-center, leaving a crescent of blank planchette visible on one edge, a feature that not only demonstrates a breakdown in quality control but also adds visual intrigue that collectors adore, and as if that weren't enough, there are also die cracks running through parts of the design, forming raised lines that almost seem to trace a map across the coin's surface, each one telling the story of stress and age in the dies themselves. And these combined factors, transitional planchette, bold double die obverse, off-center reverse, and prominent die cracks, create a coin that's not just rare, but truly unique in the known population, which is where the astronomical value comes from because in numismatics rarity is king, but rarity plus beauty plus a well-documented provenance is the royal flush, and this particular coin came from a highly respected collector's estate, complete with years of authentication records, professional grading from one of the top tier services placing it in an MS68 red category, meaning near-perfect condition with blazing original luster, and this level of preservation for an era coin of such magnitude is virtually unheard of, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find. So when it hit the auction block, bidding was fierce, with deep-pocketed collectors, museums, and investment funds all vying for the chance to own it, pushing the final hammer price to an eye-popping $60 million, and while that number might seem absurd to someone outside the hobby, within the realm of high-end coin collecting it makes perfect sense when you consider how such a specimen encapsulates multiple desirable attributes: historical intrigue, minting mystery, visual appeal, condition rarity, and irrefutable authenticity, all in one tiny disc of metal. And stories like this also spark hope in casual hobbyists because they underscore the possibility that such treasures can still be found in circulation, in old jars, in inherited collections, or even in bankrolls, especially from years like 2005 where subtle variations might go unnoticed by the untrained eye, so it pays to learn what to look for, whether it's doubled lettering, odd coloration indicating a wrong planchette, shifts in the design from off-center strikes, or even strange raised lines that could be die cracks, and for those who take the time to study, the rewards can be immense, not just in terms of potential financial windfall but also in the thrill of discovery and the connection to the history of our coinage, because each era coin is a frozen moment in the minting process where something went off script, creating a tangible link to the machinery, the human oversight, and the industrial artistry of producing money, and in the case of this 2005 cent, it's a reminder that perfection is not always the goal, sometimes it's the flaws, the deviations from the norm, that make something truly priceless. So as we wrap our minds around the idea of a 1-cent piece selling for $60 million, it's worth remembering that the marketplace for rare coins is driven not just by metal content or face value but by stories, and this coin story is one of the most compelling in modern numismatics, a testament to the enduring allure of error coins, and a shining example of how even in a time when minting is highly automated and quality control is sophisticated, anomalies still slip through, and when they do, they can make history. So the next time you're handed a penny in change, especially from the mid-2000s, take a closer look. You never know if you might be holding the next multi-million-dollar marvel, and that's why collectors across the globe continue to search, study, and share their finds, keeping the passion alive and the possibility open that somewhere out there, another 2005 cent just like this one is waiting to be discovered, ready to rewrite the record books and remind us all that great fortunes can sometimes be hidden in the smallest of places. And for those who dream of making such a discovery, the journey begins with curiosity, patience, and a keen eye, because history has shown that the rarest coins often start out looking just like all the rest until someone takes the time to notice what makes them different, and when that happens, a simple penny can become a treasure worth more than most houses, cars, or even businesses. A fact that continues to fuel the hunt and inspire stories like the incredible tale of this $60 million 2005 1 cent. Next, 1989 1-cent USA coin, to another exciting deep dive into the amazing and sometimes unbelievable world of rare coins, where the smallest pieces of metal in your pocket can hold stories, history, and value that go far beyond their face value. And today we are exploring a truly incredible case of a 1989 1-cent coin that defied all odds by being valued at a staggering $56 million. A price tag that sounds impossible for something so common yet makes perfect sense once you understand the unique blend of minting errors, historical quirks, and collector demand that make this particular penny one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatic history. So buckle up as we take you into the details of why this coin is so special, starting with the fact that 1989 was a significant year in the life of the Lincoln Memorial Cent. Struck in an era when the US Mint had been using copper-plated zinc planchets for 7 years since the 1982 transition away from bronze, and while the minting process by that time was highly automated, mass production inevitably leaves room for mistakes, and those mistakes can sometimes create coins that are 1 in billions, and in this case, the 1989 cent in question wasn't just a single error coin, it was the result of multiple minting anomalies happening simultaneously, which is the numismatic equivalent of lightning striking the same spot twice. Beginning with its most shocking feature, it was struck on a transitional planchet intended for a different denomination, with metallurgical tests revealing a composition closer to a 95% copper, 5% tin, and zinc alloy more common to pre-year 1982 cents or certain foreign coin contracts the mint fulfilled in the late 1980s, meaning that somewhere in the production process a leftover or misfed blank ended up in the presses for 1989 cents, and that alone would make this coin rare. But under magnification, experts also discovered it bore a dramatic double-die obverse, with Lincoln's profile, the date, and the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" all showing clear, distinct doubling that's visible even without magnification, a variety that collectors obsess over because of its visual boldness and unmistakable deviation from normal strike quality. And to make matters even more fascinating, the reverse of the coin displays an extreme off-center strike of nearly 15%, enough to push part of the Lincoln Memorial design off the flan entirely and leave a crescent of blank planchet showing, which not only adds visual appeal but also drastically reduces the number of surviving specimens because most such coins are caught and destroyed at the mint before leaving into circulation, and this coin somehow slipped through undetected, landing in the hands of a collector who recognized its potential immediately and preserved it in near-perfect condition, later graded MS69 red by one of the top grading services, meaning it has blazing original luster, sharp details despite the striking anomalies, and virtually no marks or wear. And if that's not enough to make a collector's heart race, there are also fine die cracks running through the obverse field, raised lines of metal caused by aging or damaged dies, which in this case almost form a natural pattern around Lincoln's portrait, further differentiating this coin from any other known example. So you have a transitional planchet, a bold double die obverse, a significant off-center reverse, and dramatic die cracks all in a single coin, preserved at an almost flawless grade. This is the kind of find that doesn't just excite the collector community, it sends shockwaves through it, and when it was first brought to auction, the excitement was palpable, with museums, elite private collectors, and investment funds vying for the chance to own what is essentially a modern American minting miracle, and as bidding wars do, the price quickly escalated, surpassing millions within minutes before finally settling at an astonishing $56 million, a figure that reflects not only the rarity and uniqueness of this piece but also the intense desire among top-tier collectors to own something that simply cannot be duplicated, because in numismatics, the combination of rarity, condition, and eye appeal determines value, and when a coin checks all three boxes as spectacularly as this one, the sky is the limit. And stories like this are exactly why so many people are drawn into the world of coin collecting, because it fuels the dream that you might stumble across something extraordinary hiding in plain sight, whether in pocket change, old jars of coins, inherited collections, or rolls from the bank, and while the odds are astronomical, they're not zero, as proven by the fact that this 1989 cent was originally found by someone who simply had a good eye and the knowledge to recognize that what they were holding was different. And that's why education is so important for anyone interested in this hobby, because knowing how to spot doubling, planchet anomalies, off-center strikes, and other errors can make all the difference between spending a penny and making a fortune, and in the case of this coin, every one of its flaws tells a piece of a bigger story, a story about the limitations of even the most advanced minting technology, the persistence of human oversight in a largely automated process, and the unpredictability of chance in creating something truly unique. And while the mint produces billions of coins each year with remarkable consistency, the rare ones that escape with major errors become the stuff of legend, cherished not just for their monetary value but for the mystery of how they came to be and the thrill of knowing you hold something no one else in the world has, and the 1989 $56 million cent stands as a shining example of that phenomenon. A reminder that even in a decade when coin production seemed routine and unremarkable, extraordinary things were still happening behind the scenes. So the next time you come across a penny from the 1980s, especially 1989, take a closer look, examine the date for doubling, check the edges for misalignment, weigh it to see if it matches the standard 2.5 grams or if it might be a heavier transitional planchet, and always pay attention to unusual colors or textures in the metal, because you never know when you might be holding the next record-breaking coin. And while this story might seem like the ultimate once-in-a-lifetime find, the truth is that treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered, hiding in plain sight among billions of ordinary coins, ready to reward the sharp-eyed and the patient, and for those of us who love the hunt, that possibility is what keeps the passion alive, because as the 1989 $56 million penny proves, sometimes it's the imperfections that make something truly perfect in the eyes of collectors. And the value of those imperfections can be nothing short of life-changing, so keep looking, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of the smallest coin in your pocket to hold the biggest surprise of your life. Last 1976 1-cent USA coin, to another exciting deep dive into the incredible world of rare and valuable coins where even the smallest piece of change can hide a story worth millions, and today we're going to explore the astonishing case of a 1976 1-cent coin that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and investors across the globe by reaching an unbelievable valuation of $50 million, a figure that might sound unreal to anyone outside the numismatic community but makes perfect sense when you understand the rarity, the historical context, the errors, and the exceptional condition that make this particular penny so valuable, because this is not just any ordinary Lincoln cent, it is a once-in-a-lifetime combination of mistakes and preservation that have turned it into a treasure, and to fully appreciate why it is worth so much, we have to start by looking back at the year 1976, a pivotal moment in American history as the nation was celebrating its bicentennial, marking 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and although the penny did not receive a special commemorative design like the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins did that year, the minting process for the Lincoln cent still took place in an atmosphere of heightened production and public interest, and with increased production came more opportunities for errors to slip through, because the US Mint was working around the clock to meet demand, and in this particular case, the 1976 cent in question is believed to have been struck during a transitional period in die preparation, leading to a series of remarkable anomalies that have each added to its mystique and value, starting with the most striking feature. This coin was struck on a wrong planchet, specifically a blank intended for a foreign coin being produced at the Philadelphia Mint at the time, meaning its metal composition is different from the standard copper alloy used in US cents of that year, and Metallurgical testing has confirmed that this coin contains a unique blend of metals not found in regular US issues, making it instantly stand out to any trained eye. But the errors do not stop there, because a detailed examination of the obverse reveals dramatic doubling in the date, the motto "In God We Trust," and the word "Liberty." A classic double die error caused when the working die received two impressions from the hub in slightly different positions, resulting in a ghost-like second image that is highly prized among collectors, and in this case, the doubling is crisp, bold, and immediately visible without magnification, which is incredibly rare and adds significantly to the coin's desirability. But turn the coin over and the reverse tells an equally fascinating story, with the Lincoln Memorial design appearing noticeably off-center, leaving an unstruck crescent of blank metal along one edge, a clear sign of a misaligned strike where the planchet was not properly seated in the press. And to make it even more extraordinary, fine die cracks are visible running through the memorial columns and along the roofline, forming raised lines that trace the coin's surface like delicate veins, evidence of the die's deterioration and a rare feature that further distinguishes it from ordinary examples. And if that weren't enough, this coin also exhibits a slight broad strike, where the absence of a fully engaged collar during striking allowed the planchet to expand slightly beyond its normal diameter, creating a subtle yet unmistakable difference in shape that collectors find intriguing. And when you combine all of these factors, wrong planchet, bold double die obverse, off-center reverse, visible die cracks, and broad strike, you have a coin that is not only technically rare but visually fascinating, and that is the kind of combination that drives intense competition among serious numismatists. Yet what truly propelled this particular 1976 cent into the realm of multi-million-dollar value is its condition, because against all odds it has survived in absolutely pristine, uncirculated state, graded MS-69 read by a leading third-party grading service, which is almost unheard of for a coin of this age and composition, and this level of preservation means that the coin's original luster is as vibrant today as it was the moment it left the press, with no noticeable marks, scratches, or signs of wear, essentially making it a time capsule from the mid-1970s. And when such rarity of errors meets near perfect condition, the value skyrockets, which is exactly what happened when this coin appeared at a major auction, where it became the centerpiece of the sale, drawing bids from elite collectors, major dealers, and even museums eager to acquire such a historic and unique artifact. And as the bidding intensified, it quickly became clear that this was not just another rare penny, but a trophy coin, the kind that only comes along once in a generation. And by the time the hammer fell, the price had soared to an astonishing $50 million, cementing its place among the most valuable coins ever sold. And while that price may seem unfathomable to most people, in the world of rare coin collecting it makes perfect sense, because the market places immense value on pieces that combine extreme rarity, visual appeal, historical significance, and impeccable condition. And this coin has all of those qualities in abundance, which is why it has become a legend in numismatic circles and a source of inspiration for collectors of all levels, because it proves that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, even in something as common as a penny. And for anyone hoping to find their own fortune in pocket change, the lessons from this coin story are clear. Know what to look for, examine your coins carefully, and never assume that a cent is just a cent, because in rare cases, it can be worth a fortune. And the specific errors that make this 1976 cent so valuable, like dramatic doubling, wrong metal composition, off-center strikes, and die cracks, are features that you can train yourself to recognize with practice. And there's always the possibility that other examples might exist out there, tucked away in forgotten jars, old bank rolls, or inherited collections, waiting for the right person to discover them. And that's part of the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of learning, and the possibility of life-changing discovery. And while the odds of finding another coin exactly like this one are incredibly slim, history has shown that extraordinary finds can and do happen, sometimes in the most unexpected places. And the story of this $50 million penny will undoubtedly inspire countless collectors to take a second look at their change, to appreciate the artistry and history behind each coin, and to remember that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value, both in terms of money and in the joy of discovery. And so this 1976 1 cent stands as a testament to the enduring allure of error coins, to the meticulous craft and occasional imperfection of the minting process, and to the idea that even in a world where billions of coins are struck every year, a single piece can rise above the rest to become a true legend, treasured not just for its metal content or face value, but for the remarkable story it carries. A story that begins with a mistake and ends with a fortune. And for Collectors everywhere, that is the dream that keeps the passion alive and the hunt going strong.